left wing of the jet dips sharply as the plane makes an abrupt course change, and the lights come on suddenly as the cabin blinks awake. Mesdames et messieurs, votre attention s'il vous plaît. The tone of the captain's message is disturbing, and it's maddening to have to listen to it first in French. Louis makes out the words, la fumée, smoke. Two flight attendants race by Louis with a service cart rattling with loose items. They aren't taking the time to gather anything from the passengers, and they are yelling as they go. Seatbelts, tray tables, and seatbacks up. Ladies and gentlemen, may we have your attention? That much he got already, but it is oddly reassuring. He senses that in the worst kind of emergency, the kind you don't survive, there would be no time for formalities. And even though the plane is descending, it still feels normal, still under control. The passengers are all looking up at the speakers above their heads as if to hear better. We are experiencing smoke in the cockpit. To ensure your safety, we must land immediately at the nearest possible airport. Flight attendants are preparing for a possible emergency landing and evacuation. Please pay close attention to all flight attendant instructions and demonstrations. Please take your safety cards out. Look at the brace position. The flight attendant closest to Louis holds up her card. The passengers take them out like hymnals at church. Lean forward and hold your ankles. She nearly falls as the nose of the plane suddenly drops and the engines rapidly power down to an idle. There are screams throughout the cabin. The plane is falling like a roller coaster dropping at a carnival. All around him he sees passengers grabbing their armrests. Louis quickly tightens his belt and reaches for his safety card. The flight attendant has regained her balance, and she is leaning forward with her feet wide apart to compensate for the steep angle of the descent. Lean forward and hold your ankles. If that is not possible, cross your hands and place them on the seat back in front of you. Lean forward and place your head on the back of your hands. Flight attendants, check brace position. It comes rapidly, first in French and then in English, but it is hard to hear over the terrific noise of the air rushing outside the plane. They are descending at 6,000 feet per minute. Christ! Louis drops his card, leans forward, and grabs his ankles for the rehearsal. He looks across the aisle, hands on ankles everywhere. He still has that sick feeling in his stomach. The air brakes have been deployed, and now the whole frame is shaking. Louis catches a brief glimpse of the cockpit as the lead flight attendant opens the door. There is no obvious fire, but the gray-white smoke in the cockpit is dense. The pilots are wearing heavy oxygen masks and smoke goggles. They are working frantically with checklists, scanning gauges and switches. He can see them shouting to try to communicate. Louis looks outside, where dawn has begun to unravel the night's grip on the continent below. What was an indistinct mass is now a deeply textured green. Land? Of course it looks soft, a verdant carpet of luxurious tropical plant life. It is easy to imagine lying down there in a soft whisper of ferns and yellow birds. But clearly this is a forest below them, a canopy of trees, great trunks of hardwood. At 10,000 feet they are already in the forest's embrace. The patches of white cloud that race by almost have a sound to them, like showers of hailstones. A road appears, like a bright reddish-brown rip in the green fabric, and then passes behind them. The engines spool up and down now as the pilots struggle with the difficult approach, making rapid corrections. A hint of the sharp smoke invades the cabin. It smells toxic, burning rubber or plastic. The landing gear rumbles into position and the plane slows further. Their attitude is less nose down, and the terrific noise of the air rushing outside has calmed down. At about 300 feet, a flight attendant comes over the intercom. Brace! Courage! Baissez la tête! Brace! Louis watches as the cabin obeys, everyone bent over like puppets with their strings cut. The businessman bends over his knees, his face is slack with fear, and he is praying. The African man's hands look powerful and strong on the seat in front of him. The flight attendant closest to Louis notices him still sitting up. Brace! He leans forward, but he cannot take his eyes away from the window. The trees seem smaller than he thought, but he realizes that his sense of scale is off, that they must rise 100 feet or more. They pass a road and a fence at about the same time they come level with the treetops. Press! Baissez la tête! Heads down! Not until I see pavement.